Hello there. I'm Diane Keaton. Today, we're going to be interviewing DeVonn Francis, the founder of Yardy, NYC. DeVonn. Hello, there's clapping, there's sounds. How are you?
When did you become Diane Keaton?
When have I not been Diane Keaton is the true question.
I love that.
We should all be asking ourselves.
Only if I can be Oprah.
Okay. I have Oprah today. I feel like they might be friends because they probably both have property in Brentwood.
Right.
Which is how you say it. They don't have homes, they have property.
I feel like they also garden together.
They do, and they're gonna make a movie called Garden Club.
Great, amazing.
That's also forthcoming. So, tell me a little bit about Yardy, what it is, how it started, and who you are and why you started it.
So I'm the founder and creative director of Yardy. It's a food and production company that I started probably about 2 years ago now. And it was around a time in my life where I was trying to figure out exactly where I fit into the sort of food industry and just culturally how we could bring more attention to not only the Caribbean community, but also the queer community. And I feel like a lot of times people who work super hard behind the scenes to make things happen, oftentimes people of color don't get centered in the narrative of what makes good food, specifically in New York. And so I wanted to change that, and Yardy is sort of that for me. So thinking about my heritage, the sort of spices and flavors that I grew up with, really bringing attention to that to media and to our audience.
Right. And how does the art portion fit into the food portion?
Yeah, so I went to art school. I would say I'm an artist before I'm a chef,
Okay.
but also thinking about how food can be artfully done. And we really think about the dining room or the dinner table as a space for not only creativity and aesthetic value, but also cultural and political value too. So like when you're able to get two very disparate people or subjects at the table together to have a conversation, what can happen?
For you, I mean, what does community look like and how do you build that out? And do you feel supported in that work?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I feel like my thinking about Yardy came from a lack of understanding how support could look like for queer people of color specifically. So you have a whole mix of things happening, and that's what makes community sport really important to us because it's about really identifying how difference is empowering.
Right. So what's the best meal you've ever made?
Oh my God.
It has to be the winner. The one thing that solved it all.
Do you know, I really love doing salad.
Okay, wow.
Not what you expected me to say.
I mean,
all right.
I feel like grain bowls are trending, but you can go for salad.
You know, it's beyond. We're trying to push beyond the grain bowl. It's
okay.
actually, it's like
you heard it here first.
You can quote me on that. Push beyond the grain bowl.
Push beyond the grain bowl.
You know, the funny thing about being Jamaican or Jamaican descendant is that a lot of the food is sort of like mystified as like tropical and light and like citrusy and things like that. When actually, like because of colonization, you have a lot of different instances of like Chinese culture and British culture and Spanish culture and Indian culture that sort of come through and sort of like change the way we think about like spice and flavor. So it's actually pretty heavy sometimes, and that's why salads are interesting to me because it's like the light moment, and people don't really talk about that in the island. And actually eating light is super important to me, especially like when I'm moving around and being crazy and not sleeping and running events and like having to go to meetings and you know. So
you
it's
have
cool
a very active lifestyle.
Yeah, she's gotta stay.
She needs her salad. You do a lot of work that's not about yourself. So like what makes you feel proud, or how does pride work for you in terms of like when you see and feel that you've like pushed and made that difference, and like when do you kind of reflect on it and go like, oh, that was good?
For sure. I mean, that's always really hard, right? Because every event that we do, every party that we throw, every talk that we organize, we sort of are challenged also by the momentum that we feel like we have to keep up. So being proud isn't always the first at the forefront of the narrative for us.
Right.
But when I do take that time, or like as a team, we've also tried to build in more time to just be like, hey, like that was really lit, and this is why. I feel like those moments feel like the feedback that we get from people who are studying at like Parsons or wherever, just being like, hey, like we're young, we're artists, I'm doing this project on my own history, or like your history reminds me of the fact that like my parents haven't really taught me how to speak, didn't want me to speak Spanish growing up, or things like that, where it's like, yeah, being of a immigrant background, having, you know, these different relationships to like where you come from and what you're supposed to be right now and today. Really knowing that when people give us that feedback or reflect that energy back to us and have questions and want to know more and want to know how to connect to what we're doing feels really good. And that's what I'm proud of for the most part. It's just like the fact that I know that this thing is living beyond just the fact that it's a party, right? It's like about the conversation and the community and what we're doing as a team to enliven other people and give people hope for their own sort of sense of self.
Yeah.
I'm super proud that we've come this far as a company. I feel like when I started, I was like, who cares about Black queer narratives? Only me. And actually that didn't matter, right? Like it was actually about the fact that I wanted to start it because I was curious and I had questions and I wanted to know if there was anyone else in the world who had the same sort of like uneasiness or feelings around that as I did. And the answer was actually yes, in this big way.
Well, what pushed you to take that jump? Because that's a big jump.
I think that I was over being told what to do by people who
weren't coming from the same place.
Weren't coming from the same place, and often get the sort of spotlight in terms of like what is cool or what is expensive or what is culturally viable or valuable or interesting.
Yeah.
When everything that the best things are by us, by people who have been like pushed to just do what they can with what they had. And also growing up, that's always a big thing too. It's like, we didn't have lots of money. We just like, my mom was like, I'm gonna be iconic because that's what I wanna do. Yeah. Just like money what? Just, you know, and I feel like that energy is actually really telling of the type of space that we wanna create with Yardy as a company.
Right. If you were gonna vision board your pride float, if you're gonna have a float in a pride parade, what would that look like? How does it come together? Like, what's the Yardy Pride Parade float?
Wow. It would be completely edible.
Okay, completely edible.
Because that makes it sustainable.
Wow. Does it have wheels?
No waste.
No waste.
It has wheels.
Okay, I love that.
What's the alternative
edible
to wheels? No, actually, no, I changed my mind. My pride float is in the water.
Okay, but it's still edible?
It is still edible.
Okay,
we'll figure out that part after.
I feel like corn floats.
Yeah, exactly. We can do like, the bottom is made out of corn husks that are coated in beeswax, so it floats because of beeswax. Duck fat? We'll get there. Yeah, I think water is super important. And I think everyone is sort of like wearing edible arrangements, but on their bodies.
Right, I think I've seen that video. I have a little game of word association.
I'm nervous about that.
I mean, basically it's just like, what's the first word that comes to mind?
Okay, it's really
when I tell you a word.
To be spontaneous.
Oh, okay.
So, I'm just kidding.
I mean, you just invented like a really great float.
Okay, fair.
So now you're just gonna...
You're right, I can do
now
this.
You can fail.
I can do this.
You can fail up. It's gonna be great. Okay, organza.
Extravaganza?
Powder.
Powerful.
Champagne.
Evelyn Champagne King.
There you go. Baby.
Spice?
Yes. Sparkle.
Glitter, Mariah Carey.
Well, we went there. Robust.
Turkey dinner at Thanksgiving?
Cheers to that. Cool, thanks, bye.